Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, you will recall that on Monday, 2 attacks were carried out in the Chadian capital in N'Djamena, which left 27 people dead. No one claimed responsibility, but Chad points the accusing finger at Boko Haram. As a result, Chad's military says it carried out airstrikes in neighboring Nigeria on suspected positions of militant Islamist group Boko Haram. Chad also said the group suffered heavy casualties, with 6 of its bases being destroyed in the process. Well, we're joined by the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade. Major General, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, Major, could you confirm this news about Chad carrying out airstrikes on Boko Haram bases in Nigeria?
Well, at the moment, I am not in a position to agree or confirm with that position. What I know is that the operations at the moment allows for hot pursuit across borders, and within that framework of the multilateral agreement we have with them and the operations of the multinational joint task force, it could not be ruled out that anywhere terrorist bases are found, they can be pounded either by Nigerian troops or any partner in the mission.
So there is a possibility that it's true.
Well, I don't want to confirm or deny at the moment. The much I know is that recently, by reason of our air surveillance, we identified some targets which are across the border, that is to the Chadian side, and informed the Chadians of such targets. I don't know if they are the ones being referred to at the moment, but like I said, the terms of agreement allows hot pursuit across borders. And if we must know the details about this, I think the Chadians should be the ones explaining what they mean by this pronouncement.
But Major, based on what you just said, that you identified some targets and that you informed Chad, yes. Nigeria, you should be informed before Chad would carry out airstrikes, if I'm getting you correctly.
It depends on the nature of the mission. It depends in the sense that if it is movement of terrorists, you don't allow them to go if it forms within the framework. But if it is that it's a target that is not alive at that moment, and you just notice some operations by virtue of surveillance, which our Air Force did, in the spirit of cooperation, you just alert the place involved. But if it is that you see them moving within the framework of the agreement, you can pursue them and hit them.
Well, Major General, thank you very much for the much you could tell us. We're very grateful for your time, as always.
Thank you.
Major General Chris Olukolade, Director of Defense Information. Well, for more on this development, we're joined by Mr. Temitope Olodo from London. He's a preventive terrorism expert. Mr. Olodo, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me, Cynthia.
Now, based on what we just heard from the Major General and this development, as a preventive terrorism expert, what is your view?
I'm quite concerned, not because there's anything wrong in hot pursuit by the Chadians, but the information relayed is contrary to that. The information from the Chadians is clear that in revenge for the activities of Boko Haram on Monday, some few days ago, they actually went in to hit some of the targets of Boko Haram. And we have I don't think the Nigerian government will have any problem with that. I think it's all about information, exchange of information, and where is that breakdown, in terms of the command and control. Because if anybody or any of the 3 or 4 countries involved in this multinational task force could enter each other's territory when they are not actually pursuing, they are not in hot pursuit, which falls within the MOU, but they could just carry out attacks, strikes like that, then what stops any other country entering Nigeria and us not knowing? And what stops there be casualties, unnecessary unaccounted casualties. So this is a serious concern, and I think the Chadians need to answer more questions and explain exactly what is happening. Well, I would have expected the general to know more about this because he's actually in the center of this information. So when he's saying he's neither confirming or denying, is either because he's not in liberty to convey that information because it's still a top secret information, or because he doesn't even have a clue about what is really happening.
Now, in the event that these airstrikes were actually carried out, what would you say should have been the better approach?
The better approach, based on my understanding and how MOU, this kind of situations are arranged. If you're in pursuit, you might not be in a position to tell that this is happening. But for the Air Force to even start going into the air in the first place, they got authorization from the highest command in their system. And this is where we're talking about our service chiefs having joint discussions and have been familiar with each other. So it's just a matter of picking the phone and saying, something is happening. I just got a kind of a phone call that we're in pursuit of these guys. We'll keep you updated. You know, we're going to be entering into your territory. Because our Air Force could have immediately scrambled some jets to intercept that jet if we felt it's an encroachment on our territory. And while we recognize the fact that we need to work jointly, we need to recognize that Nigeria is a sovereign country, and we cannot just allow anybody to enter our airspace because they're in pursuit of enemies. There's nothing wrong in that, but that MOU need to be very clear, because when the casualties start piling up, they say they kill, they say they destroy, we don't know what they destroy. It's based on what they are telling us. It might be a village of ordinary Nigerians. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying they will be so callous to do that. But what we're saying is that we need more information for accountability purposes and for protection of people's human rights.
Well, Mr. Temitope Olodo, thank you very much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time and your input right here on Network Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, Mali kills 5 militants in a clash as the war on terror continues. We'll tell you more about that story in a moment. Please stay with us.